Okay, welcome guys. As I've said, today we're going to have two doctors. Unfortunately, Dr. Tumi is here through the phone call. She cannot join us due to network challenges. I think load shedding that is killing the network that side. So we've got Dr. Tumi and Dr. Ndumi that are here today. The one you are seeing there on the screen is Dr. Ndumi, and Dr. Tumi, you see her, she'll just be talking here. We're using some technology, you know. So you'll be seeing sort of my screen when she's talking because she just went through the call. So yeah, welcome. Welcome, Dr. Ndumi and Dr. Vitu. Thank you for this opportunity. And thanks for allowing us, thanks for coming here and allowing us the opportunity to present and give us the guidance. So you can introduce yourselves. I don't know much since it was just, like a request that a friend passed the contacts to me. I think you can introduce yourself, where you from, where you studied. I think I can start with you, Dr. Ndumi.
Hello guys, I'm Dr. Nondumi, so evidence in Kosi. I'm working at THEMBA. I'm from here in Mpumalanga, and I studied in Cuba and I completed my degree at Sefako 2019.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this is your second year of internship at THEMBA?
Exactly.
Oh, okay. And Dr. Tumi?
Hi everyone. Sorry for being late for the meeting. I'm having trouble with network as they've mentioned. My name is Witumelo Mampshe, and I am a second year intern at THEMBA Hospital. I also studied at Medunta from first year until 2019. I graduated in 2019. So yeah, I'm from Limpopo. So yeah.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Since you're from Limpopo, we just go straight to the questions, because we don't want to take much time. Dr. Ndumi already believes that this is a 30 minutes interview. So, like Dr. Ndumi, why did you choose THEMBA?
Okay. For me.
Sorry. Okay. Sorry, Dr. Ndumi.
Dumi.
Sorry.
You are saying Dumi or Tumi?
Tumi. Okay, let me say Dr. Witumelo. I'll just say the full name next time. So don't worry. Dr. Witumelo, why did you choose THEMBA? Why was THEMBA your first choice?
Yes, THEMBA was my first choice. There were quite a number of things that I was looking at. Mm-hmm. So as you guys are doing, I also started doing research. I had one person that I knew who had done their internship at THEMBA, and then I could reach them to ask questions. So one thing that I was looking at was exposure to skills, but of course it was based on the person's opinion, and then they had a good experience in terms of exposure to skills, to clinical skills. So that was one of the reasons why I chose THEMBA. I considered the location of the place. THEMBA is in a place called Kabukweni. Some might be familiar with it. It's next to White River. It's next to Nelspruit. So I considered that it was some sort of a rural area. There was a lot of patients that are coming here. And then you would also have access to a nearby town. I considered the residents. I was told that they have residents within the hospital premises. I also considered the distance from home, how long I'd have to. So I didn't want a place that was too close to home. So I needed to go out and spread my wings. So I felt it was a good choice for me. And then lastly, not obviously, however, I did consider that there was rural allowance in THEMBA. So yeah, those are some of the things that I was looking at when I was making my choice.
Oh, okay, I see. And Dr. Ndumi, I think you had the question. It's the same question I would ask you. And the parameters of this meeting, I would like you to end it by 8. Is that fine with you, Dr. Ndumi, Dr. Witumelo? Is that fine with you?
Yes.
With me, it's going to be hard, but I'll try.
Okay.
Already. I'm having problem.
I could hear. Yeah, the same question to you, Dr. Ndumi.
The reason why now I chose THEMBA Hospital is because I was be close to home. I was away from home like for 6 years. I was studying in Cuba, and I went for 18 months. I studied at Sefako. So I felt like I needed to be back and be close to home because it has been a very long time. Another thing, I consider the fact that the skills. A lot of people were telling me that no, they've learned so many things that they do teach them and stuff like that. That's why I chose it. And another thing, it's very close. There are two towns close to it, so you can be anywhere. It's 30 kilometers away from Nelspruit, and it's a 15 minutes drive. It's a 15 minutes drive from White River to the hospital. So, and I also considered the level, if it's a level 1, level 2, or level 3. Since THEMBA is a level 2, it's a regional hospital. So I considered that because I knew that it will be hard for us, since I'm a bursary holder, it will be hard for me to get into a level 3 hospital. So those are some of the things that I considered when I chose THEMBA.
Oh, okay. Is it fine? You know, like doctor, if it's fine, you know, we can let you go, you see, because I could hear the babies there demanding attention.
Oh, and another thing,
Yes.
I forgot. It's because of
We have lost
yeah,
you. I'm not sure if it's my connection. Okay, it's mine.
it's okay.
It's mine, yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Hmm. Are you still there, Dr. Ndumi?
I haven't left the thingy. I haven't left the meeting. I'll be listening, but I won't be speaking.
Oh, okay, no problem. I think we'll just, you can type in there. I think now we just have to be with Dr. Tumi this side. And yeah, I'll be finding a way to, you know, to make it more, you know, engageable. So Dr. Tumi, I think it's you and me. Dr. Ndumi will just be typing there because there's a background noise there. So in terms of the rotations, now it's your second block, second year, and you're doing your second year rotations. So we just want to go straight to the rotation since you've told us the reason why you wanted to come here to THEMBA. How are the rotations in terms of what can you say? Just a brief about them, not exactly what patients you see, but the toughest or the ones that you need to be prepared to be ready for, you know, which ones are the best, which ones are the worst, you know, in the order of how you did it or how you rotated.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm gonna start with the first rotation that I started with. I started with internal medicine. As you can imagine, when I got here, the first thing, the nerves. I'm a doctor now, and you're not really sure what to expect. But I was actually satisfied with the information that I got from internal medicine and the exposure. Of course, it's never enough because there's so much to learn, but I think it was adequate. So with internal medicine, you have different wards that you're rotating in. They are divided into infectious wards and non-infectious ward. And then, of course, that was before COVID. Then now what we did was that you had to rotate in each ward that they had allocated. So you have male infectious ward, female infectious ward, and then you have a general ward where you have all these other medical conditions. So it was quite a good exposure. At the time, we also had meetings where we got to discuss topics, things like X-rays, how to diagnose common conditions, recording in progress, manage how to manage DKA, for example. Then
okay.
Internal medicine. the other thing with internal medicine was that we had to do casualty calls. So it basically means that when you're on call, you're seeing all the emergency cases that are coming in. So that was also quite an experience. Initially, it was difficult, but as you go with time, it became much better. And I felt that the exposure was, I didn't have
Yes, continue.
Can I continue?
Yes, may continue.
To add to that, you also have clinic days, so you get to see all the clinic. So internal medicine was okay. Moving on to the second block that I went to, that was general surgery. General surgery was it was actually my best block, in my opinion. It was the best block, in my opinion. You go there at 7 a.m. It's a similar setup to SMU. You have morning meetings. After the morning meetings, you go for the ward rounds. And in the ward round there, you then have a consultant coming in. They do ask questions like they do in school. And then you're also expected to present the patient. So in cases where during my rotation, there was one consultant and there are two surgical wards, a female and a male ward. So in the case where the consultant is starting in a different ward, then you start with the ward round with the MOs. When the consultant comes, then you're expected to present the patients and the management, then they correct you from there and they teach you and ask questions. Then you're also exposed to the clinic there, and then at the clinic, you do see the general surgical conditions that are there. You are also exposed to some chronic patients. Then you also get a time where you do clinic by yourself, which is ideally on Thursdays here, where you get to see mostly it's male patients who are coming in with prostate CA and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Then to go on, you also have exposure to theater. That is one thing that was thumbs down for me, because there was not enough time for theater. But that was also around the time when COVID started, and then we didn't really have theater going on at the time. So there was less exposure to theater at that particular time. So I didn't really get to do any procedures myself, but I did get to observe some of the things. They do thyroid surgery, they do appendectomies, and they do bowel resections and stuff like that. So the conditions are there. You can be able to see if there is enough time in this theater time. And then you also have got children's surgical ward. Then there you get to rotate for a certain amount of time. And when you're rotating in that children's ward, here they were telling us we're not allowed to take leave because it was quite a short time and you needed to be exposed. So you get to see burns and other general conditions in kids. And then you also get to run the children's clinic by yourself, which is quite interesting. It sounds difficult when you think about it,
mm-hmm.
But then that intern rotating at the time gets to go do the children's surgical clinic. It's quite interesting, and it's really nothing to be scared of. Don't be scared. It was quite a nice experience. So I enjoyed surgery. My next block was obs and gynae.
Mm-hmm.
So obs and gynae, the way that it's set up is that you have got the obstetric side and the gynae side. They have one ward allocated gynae. You're expected to rotate them for a certain amount of time. You have got a medical officer at all times. Then the obstetric side is divided into labor ward. They have antenatal ward where they put all the high-risk mothers. They have maternity ward. We call it maternity ward. That is where they put all the post-Caesar patients. And we have got postnatal ward. That is where they put all the...
Yes. I don't know if you guys heard the first part. Should I continue from where I left off?
Yes, I think so. I think we had it. We were talking about how they divided the gynae ward, obs, postnatal, and that. Yeah, you were there.
Yes, so you're expected to rotate in all these wards for a certain amount of time. So in labor ward, what you do is that you're going to see all the mothers that are walking in, and you're going to be sitting there doing the consultations yourself. You're going to be deciding in which ward to put the mothers, where you decide whether it's a high-risk patient or that they're supposed to deliver at the time. So that was quite a good experience in terms of actually learning how to diagnose different conditions and how to manage them. Of course, they have protocols, and those are very helpful as well. And then I personally, when I did it at the time, I rotated there in labor ward specifically for 2 weeks. So this is where you have all the mothers that are in latent phase of labor, they're in active phase and are being delivered by the midwives on the other side. If there's any complications, they call you, you go there and you see them. Number 2, antenatal ward, as I mentioned, this is where you get all the high-risk mothers. So mothers with PIH and who have got PROM, then you get to do your ward rounds daily, of course with an MO at the time. And then the one good thing about THEMBA is that if you choose to be a proactive person, you can actually be very independent quite quickly. Then again, maternity ward, as I mentioned, these are all the post-Caesar mothers. So what you go there and do daily is that you go and review all the patients that are post-Caesar. Then you decide when to discharge them. You decide what to check for. For example, for those who have got elevated BPs, you cannot discharge. So you decide, and you are alone there. You can only get an MO if you decide that you have a problem that you cannot deal with, then you can consult. But otherwise, you are alone in that ward. In postnatal ward, where I mentioned that this is where you get post-NVD mothers, you are alone as well. So you basically just discharge them, and then you identify any problems and sort them out. If you have problems, again, you have access to an MO. Then they also have clinic, which
I just wanted to find out, because like you talk of more of independence. I'm sorry to just interrupt, but just wanted to find out, do you have consultants, MOs there in the hospital? Like which ones do you have?
Yes, I was coming to that as well,
Okay,
to say that clinic is usually run by the MOs and the consultants, but if you wanna go, you are allowed to go there and do the clinic. So they do have, initially they had one consultant when I came in. Now they currently have 4 consultants in the department, and there are MOs and also ComServ. So the ComServ doctors work the same thing that the MOs do. So they all are allocated different wards, and the consultant do daily rounds there. So that's what happens. And then you also get exposure to ultrasounds. They teach you how to do an ultrasound. You can do them yourselves as well when you decide you are confident. But otherwise, the other good thing is that you have access to anyone at any moment to ask them any questions if you would like to do that.
No, perfect. So now, like this year, you started with what, ortho, anesthesia? Which one are you doing now, or what
yeah. There was pediatrics as well last year. So pediatrics, you have children's wards, you have got the KMC ward, you have got what do you call this, neonatal wards. So the MOs run the neonatal wards, you do KMC, you do children's wards. Otherwise, when you're on call, you see all the patients that are coming in, whether it's a neonate or a child, then you get to present in their morning rounds daily, and that's where you get to learn. And there's also academic meetings as well as mortality meetings, which are presented by interns. MOs do present some topics, but majority of them are being done by interns. That's a great opportunity to learn as well. Yeah.
No, that's great. So like from these like blogs that you did last year, are there blogs that you say like, okay, this one it's nice, this one there's a shortage in terms of the blog or the staff, how it goes, and one that really wants you to put the energy all in?
This is of course from a personal experience. gynae was my toughest block. That is where I needed to really pull up my socks because of the amount of work that you're expected to do there as an intern, especially when you're on call. However, I do enjoy it now that I'm still doing calls, which I can explain later on why that is. But I enjoy it more now that I'm done with the block than I did. So that was one place. Pediatrics was challenging as well. There was a shortage of staff at the time. Otherwise, it's an amazing block. My best block was surgery. I enjoyed it the most. Like I said, the teaching there that goes on, the ward rounds that go on, very nice. A similar setup to SMU, as you can imagine. And then internal medicine, that is where I felt that there was a bit of a shortage. However, it does not prevent you from learning. It's only that perhaps according to my expectations, it didn't really meet the standard that I wanted. But otherwise, I enjoyed my most of my first year blocks.
And coming to second year blocks, in that order, how are they?
Yes, currently we have this with the new setup that we have for first year and second year blocks. So now the second year blocks, they found that we couldn't really do our full 6 months of family medicine at one go. So they tried to divide FemMed according to where we could actually go. FemMed is supposed to be 6 months. You're supposed to do 1 month at the local clinic, 1 month at the peripheral hospital. You're expected to do casualty. You're expected to do general OPD. This is where all the patients that walk in for the first time go. You're expected to do ophthalmology, who comes in at times, who is always there, but if he's not there, then there's no ophthalmology basically. And then, yeah, that's about family medicine. The other blocks, it's 2 months psychiatry. I'm sure you are familiar with the breakdown. So far, I have done a part of family medicine, still in a part of family medicine, and
Okay, Doc. Yeah, I think the network it's there again, but I think it will just come back. Yes, Doc. My network it's bit tweaking now. I missed you. Busy talking about the rotations. We were on the. Are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. I don't know because I lost you when I was busy talking. When you're busy talking about the that you've done some parts of family medicine and you were there. So you can just continue from there. I'm sorry about my network, guys. I don't know what's happening today. You can continue, Doc.
Yes, I've done some parts of family medicine. I've also done psychiatry. I'm only left with finishing up FemMed and also orthopedics and anesthesia. So I wanted to start with psychiatry. I did psychiatry for 2 months. So due to COVID, they had to shift things. We only have one psychiatric ward. So that psychiatric ward is divided into the male side and female side. There are more males than females. It can be overcrowded at times. There is one consultant there, and currently there's one medical officer and about 3 community service doctors. They're all working as MOs and they're all available. So what they do is that you get 1 month in female ward and 1 month in the male ward. The male ward is more crowded than the female ward. And then you get to sit and interview the patients. If in either ward, you sit down, you interview the patients with whichever medical officer you are allocated with in that ward. Then when the consultant comes as well, still you just continue with the the interviews, and the only thing they contribute at the time is the management, how you can manage and how you start and go up and down in terms of title medication and things like that. We didn't have academic meetings when I was doing the rotation at the time, but they are there right now. Interns are expected to present certain topics. Medical officers also allocated topics. So you do have academic meetings and then mortality meetings as well, if there is any. Otherwise, interns are also expected to do statistics. So you basically go around and check how many patients you've admitted. You also get exposure to clinic. They have 1 day of clinic per week. So this is where you get to see all the patients who are coming in with different conditions to collect their medication. And if you feel a patient is stable, medical officers are always there to consult. Then you can decide whether you want to admit the patient or allow them to go based on your assessment. Then they also have a children's clinic, which is run by the consultant. So if you want exposure, you are allowed to go there. However, if you're not getting any exposure from the children's clinic, you're expected to be in the ward to continue doing the ward rounds.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Is with orthopedics, I haven't rotated there yet. What happens is that you get to ward rounds daily with medical officers and consultants. Then they also have theater time. So you get exposure to theater. As you can imagine, most orthopedic doctors are very passionate, so you can just go there and enjoy yourself in theater. But otherwise, I think it's quite an interesting block, especially for those who love it.
Mm-hmm.
Then with anesthesia, you're expected to be in theater all the time. So you go there at 8 o'clock in the morning, you knock off at 4, ideally, and then you are allocated different theaters. So we don't really have a big theater here. There is, you have obs and gynae, you have ortho, you have general surgery, and then they sometimes alternate which department gets the theater on which day. So you can imagine the amount of exposure you get to the cases there. It's quite interesting and quite nice. And then I think family medicine, as I've mentioned, some of them, you're expected to rotate in casualty for a month. I really enjoyed that part. That is where you get to see all the conditions that are coming in. It's quite interesting, really, and it makes your life so much easier. And there's a lot of learning to do there. So I think you will really enjoy that. There is a OPD. This is general OPD, where you get all the patients who are working in during the day and they're stable. They go to general OPD. You get to do 2 weeks there. It's also quite nice. There are medical officers at all times there. We currently don't have a consultant in family medicine, but the medical officers are really experienced. So you can consult them at any time. Then, as I mentioned, ophthalmology, there is one consultant. If he's not around, he does let you know that I'm not around, then you can go and do the rotation. It's only 2 weeks. You can go and do the rotation at another time. But as when he's there, then you go there, you stay with him, he's with you all the time, and then he's showing you the ropes and what goes on in that department of that he's running. You get 1 month of peripheral hospital, 1 month of clinic. Currently in THEMBA, we don't have a peripheral hospital. So they had chosen Sabi Hospital for us. However, we were not able to go there due to accommodation issues. So we're doing 2 months of the clinic. What happens in the clinic, it's a nearby clinic. It's literally 5 minutes walk away. You can drive there for 2 minutes if you're driving. Otherwise, the hospital does provide transport. But most of us do prefer to go there with our own transport. So in the clinic, the setup is that you have got a chronic side, you have got mother and child side, and you also have minor ailment side. So chronic, this is where everybody comes to collect their medication.
Minor ailments side, this is where everybody who's walking in for a consultation goes to. Mother and child clinic, this is where all the pregnant mothers, you're booking them, you're following up on antenatal care and stuff. And then all the children who are coming in for day 3 checkups. So when you discharge the children from the hospital and from the clinic, you expect them and their mother to come back on day 3. This is where you screen the mothers for hypertension. This is where you get to see the children and screen them for jaundice and other conditions that might have been missed. So it's quite an enjoyable experience as well. First encounter with patients for me is the best part of learning medicine. So yes, I think that's all about the rotations. And that's as much as I can share.
Oh, okay. Do you guys really go there and do those at the PHC? Because I know some they're like, the sisters know these things. So you just go there, you just go there, see patients, those that say to be seen by doctors. I mean, do you go there and say, I'm giving immunizations? Do you really, you guys, do you really do it?
Yeah, actually at the clinic, that's the place where everybody's independent. Remember, the nurses have been working there for the longest time and they do everything by themselves. So they actually don't need us. So when you get there, if you're prescribing a medication, you actually dispense it as well. Mm-hmm. If you're prescribing an injection, you must administer it yourself. Otherwise, if it's something like Schedule 6 drugs, that's where you get to write them on a special script or with the supporting document, and then you send them to the pharmacy. They do have a functional pharmacy. Wow. But otherwise, if you want a pap smear, you're doing it yourself. You want a PV done, you're doing it yourself. And you get a chance to also deliver the babies if you are really, really interested in that. Otherwise, the sisters are quite independently. It's really interesting, really. I find it very interesting.
No, it is, definitely. I did my family medicine, and I kind of saw how everything, unfolds. So sometimes you go there, you think you're going to knock off at 4. By 12, you are gone, like, wow. So I understand. So, honestly, I need to accept that you are a person who knows their stuff. From the interview that I'm having with you, I don't know what type of a student you were in, but I'm guessing you are high there. You want to say something about that?
Yeah, I was actually a very laid back student. Honestly, I was the student at the back. At all times, I was quite timid and with very little confidence. Mm-hmm. But I got to learn that, you know what, the type of student that you are doesn't really determine the type of doctor that you become. You decide. Mm-hmm. So whether school is difficult, because I understand that for some students, school might be a bit more difficult than others. The part where you have to study, cram, memorize, and go right and give back to the doctors what they need, it's quite difficult. And I honestly didn't have confidence, but I know that some people might actually be familiar with what I'm trying to explain. When you go out there, you honestly decide what kind of a doctor you want to be. So my attitude when I came here was, I need to learn, and I need to learn from each and every single person that can actually possibly teach me. This includes nurses. This includes the cleaners in the ward, because they actually know some stuff. So I think my attitude, for one, is one thing that really helped me. I'm really enjoying being an intern more than I did being a student. And I think this is helping me to learn more. As difficult as internship might be described to be, but I'm really enjoying this learning experience.
Oh, perfect. So just to touch, how did you overcome that, confidence, lack of confidence? I mean, it's something that is very, very, prevalent in most students.
Yes. In school, I think one of the contributing factors is how our registrars interact with us, how some of our consultants interact with us, including some of our classmates as well. I was very intimidated by the people that I was around. But I found that my final year, it was relatively easier because I then had a study group. This also depends on the type of learner that you are. So being in a study group, it pushed me to become a bit more vocal because then I needed to get my point across when we had to discuss some of the topics. But the minute I got out, I came here, I was that young doctor, you know, that people look at and they just laugh in like shame. But as time goes, it just comes. I came back, you come back after work, you read a little bit on the things that you saw. The following day, when you go, when you've learned a procedure, you step up and you actually tell yourself, I'm going to try and do it. So I think overcoming it just came from the willingness to learn. One thing I knew for sure was that I cannot be the type of doctor that is I cannot be the type of doctor that does not deliver as much as I would have wanted to as a student. So I'm actually trying to make up for my years as a student, as a doctor now. I'm really, really trying. So I must be a better doctor now than whatever type of student I was back then. So really, it's coming in, trying to better myself, having dreams to achieve, goals to attain. I cannot afford to be laid back and be a student at the back right now because I really, really, really need the skills, and I really need to become independent.
Not true. That's true. So Dr. Tumi, you know, you being at that hospital, you know, I had one of the doctors here who is doing ComServe there, and he mentioned a few things that are very interesting. So the reason, one of the reasons why we really wanted an intern was to find out about the scans. Let's say the imaging department. What goes on there? I mean, what happens there? What happens there? Maybe take us through what happens. You know, I come at MVA 1 a.m. What happens? I need a CT scan. What happens there? Just take us through that part.
Well, when I did this interview, I told myself that I didn't really want to get into the politics of the hospital. But as you can imagine, each and every hospital has got its own challenges. But if we look at the challenges, we're actually gonna miss out on the good things that actually really happen. We know Medunsa produces,
but
when we come.
No, but isn't it that we must know, we must know,
Yeah.
like, as much as there's good, you know, good things about it, we must also be expecting, you know, it was one of the things that was not mentioned in Rob Ferreira. I was with Dr. Portia. She didn't mention, someone commented to me and said, no, there's a bit of racist that exists in Rob Ferreira, you know, it was not mentioned. So it's one of those things that when I go to THEMBA now, like you are stressing the issue of exposure, you know, you get to learn. So what about the downfall part of it?
Okay. The issue with the imaging department, as far as I know, it just has to do with managerial positions and what. So apparently or allegedly, the radiologists their salaries were cut to a certain extent, and then their overtime money was also cut. The salaries were cut. So now they were still expected to do overtime without being actually compensated for it. So as a department, they decided we're only gonna work as much as we're being compensated for. That is why we have a difficulty with our radiology department. So then you get to have one person who's on call. However, they're at home and they're telling you, you can only call me when there's an emergency, or they may be around the hospital. Now, when you call them for an emergency, you as a clinician decide, I have a patient with who had a motor vehicle accident and I need imaging and it's urgent. so the conflict becomes between you and the radiologist to say, if the radiologist thinks that you're not having an emergency, that you are definitely not having an emergency and do not need imaging right now. So that's where the difficulty comes in. Now we're having issues where there are cases where some patients are demising because they were denied a CT scan because the radiologist is not there, or whoever, the radiographer is not there. The department is literally locked down. And you can imagine casualty medicine is actually, it functions well as a multidisciplinary team. You cannot have we see a lot of patients in casualty. You can see about 100 patients on a 16-hour call. That's when it's really, really hectic. So you can imagine how many patients are coming in who needs x-rays. All the patients with fractures, they are gonna have to wait from 4 p.m. until the next morning at 8 o'clock in the morning to say they should get an x-ray done. And at that time, you cannot put a POP, you cannot reduce a fracture that you actually don't know what type of a fracture it is and where the fracture actually is. So we sometimes do improvise. If you're having an ortho MO at that time, they can actually try and help you put a POP without an x-ray, then you can do an x-ray after in the morning, because the patients really, really suffer from these issues. They are the ones who are affected the most, I feel.
Okay. It's very hurting.
Yeah.
It's very shocking. I mean, how do you manage an MVA patient without the scan? I mean, it's bad. So
in terms of that one, we do have
continue.
ultrasound in casualty. We do have an ultrasound in casualty. It's just that it's more difficult to see. Then you can alternatively use the one that is in Ops and Gynae department, labor ward. You can take your patient from casualty, literally walk with them, go there, do the ultrasound. Otherwise, the one that's in the X-ray department is the nicest one. However, if the department is locked down, you can't go in. And there's been instances where some doctors have said, no, I've actually gone there to try and do a scan, and I was actually denied. But we really, really don't know like what really goes on in terms of that. But yeah, it's just the challenges that are there, but you can't really do much about it. You can only do as much as you can. So we really try, as interns especially, we try not to get involved in all the political stuff that goes on around the hospital.
Okay, no, understandable. I think we must leave that aside. But besides the scan, is there another done for part of THEMBA?
Yes, there are quite a few. The first issue that I can highlight is the change in our rotations. Now that you have to do first year, second year internship, we found that there's a shortage of interns. There are less first year interns now than second year interns. So you have overcrowding in family medicine, for example, and you have fewer interns doing the first year rotations. It makes it more difficult for them to cope, because when you are more, then you get to share the workload and it becomes a bit lighter. However, the previous groups that have been here mentioned that they were even fewer than our group was. I think our group was probably one of the largest groups. So they still managed to function and they still managed to get the work done. It's just that it makes it a bit more difficult for the group that is currently in first year now to go through the rotations. But trust me, they do make it work. There's been an advice that has been made wherein, so the initial setup was that when you're doing internal medicine, when you're doing orthopedics, when you're doing casualty, you all go do casual calls. When you're doing surgery and you're doing anesthesia, you do surgery calls. So the surgery calls are, you are covering the whole wards, general, all the wards in the hospital, basically, except the children's wards. So it usually isn't that hectic because they only call you if there's a problem. If a patient demises, if a patient needs resuscitation, they call you. It's manageable. And then in the other departments, you really don't get to do calls because then that person is covering everything. What I'm trying to say is that when you're doing surgery in anesthesia, initially, you would have to cover surgical ward, you're covering internal medicine ward, you're covering orthopedics ward, you're covering everything that is there. The person who's doing obs and gynae is covering obs and gynae wards. That's all. The person who's internal medicine is doing casualty calls. The person who's in casualty is doing casualty calls. The person who's in psychiatry is doing casualty calls. So the improvised currently was, because there was a shortage of interns in the first year group, then we had to divide amongst the family medicine group to go and do obs and gynae calls. Then we've take again from the family medicine group, some of them to go and do pediatric calls. Then otherwise surgical calls are covered. There's also COVID wards to cover. That is also managed by the interns that are doing family medicine or casualty calls rather. So there's now a bit more balance, at least when it comes to calls, so that you can at least do a maximum of 80 hours.
Oh, I see.
So that was the side of it. But as a second year intern, I feel like doing obs and gynae calls now is much, much better than it was when I was doing the rotation itself, which for me means that there might be a bit of an improvement maybe on my side and maybe as a human being as well, because now things are much better. Not that the conditions have changed, but things are so much better now. So this is the part where we talk about you growing as a person. We talk about you growing as a doctor and as an intern, or whichever level you'll be in at the time. Then the second downfall that I want to mention is the residents. When we came in, we found that there were fewer interns, so there was still residents that was available. Because we were a large group, the group that came in after us, they had difficulties finding accommodation. So there was fewer interns who could not be accommodated within the hospital premises. It's much safer to be in the hospital premises. It allows you a chance to learn the ropes and see the place around. It puts less pressure on you to get transportation in a case where you don't have a car. Because you're just literally walking to your workplace. So I feel that for the group that came in after us, for the few interns that could not be accommodated at the beginning, it might have been difficult also to do their calls because we don't have proper functional on-call rooms to rest in. So we basically rest in our DQs. That's one thing, residents, and then the on-call rooms as well. It's also quite a bit of an issue. But if you're staying in the hospital in DQ, then you don't have to worry yourself about it because you can literally walk to your room. Then another issue, we do sometimes have water issues. However, right now they found a solution to say there's a water truck that comes and pumps our tanks. Our tanks are big enough to supply water for all of us for quite a number of days. So as long as they're being replenished, the water issue is sorted. We've had issues with geysers and stuff like that, but those are things that can really be sorted out. I don't think apologies for that. Yeah, as I've mentioned, water issues sometimes. We've had an incident of an electricity issue. It was only once last year where we did not have electricity for about a week. So you imagine how horrible that was.
Were you going to bed?
Well, initially we were, but then eventually we stopped.
Yeah.
But the nice that there's a backup generator. So even if there's load shedding, you have lights.
Someone is calling you.
Yeah, definitely. But then it's fine. I'll get back.
Okay.
Even when there's load shedding, you do have lights. The only problem will be network, as it was evident now. But otherwise, I find it to be quite a nice place. We had security issues in the beginning, which have all been sorted out at the moment. We're living in a safe space. There has been one break-in last year in January, and that was it. Otherwise, we didn't have any break-ins with our group. Everybody is quite safe.
So the DQ itself, like what kind of a DQ is it? Someone was asking, we just tell us more about it. Like, is it a bachelor? Is it a one bedroom? Are you sharing with someone? How's the DQ? And yeah, I'll ask later,
Yes, so we have sort of a flat-like setup with bachelors, and then we have got houses. They're still flats, but then they're 2-bedroom flats. So what they do is that they say second-year interns can have access to the bachelors, and then first-year interns can share the 2-bedroom houses. The house has got 2 different bedrooms with 2 separate bathrooms. You've got a kitchen and a living room. So you can share the kitchen and the living room in the doubles. And then in the singles, you do have the kitchen, the living room, you have a bedroom and a bathroom. The double houses or the double bedroom flats have been recently renovated, so they're quite fine. You may find a bit of disappointments here and there because of maintenance, but quite decent. And I'm saying this because I don't want to discourage you guys from coming in. It's safe, it's decent, it's a shelter. You can finish yourself because the furniture is quite old. You have to buy your own TVs. You can have a couch, but it's quite old, and some people find that it's not actually functional, so they get their own furniture. Then in terms of beds, they promised that they would bring beds, but as it stands, we had to buy our own beds because the beds that were here were honestly not okay for our liking. So we got our own beds. So the beautiful thing is that when you come in, you're gonna find something to sleep on. You just need to sort yourself out. The minute you get your first salary, you put your priorities straight, and then you get the things that you feel you need first.
Oh, perfect. So now you are in a bachelor room.
No, I am currently staying in a 2-bedroom house. So when I came in, I was staying alone in my first year. Then I feel the need to reserve space for myself in the bachelor rooms. Then now there's a shortage of bachelors for second years because we are a large group. But I think with that's coming, that's doing first year now, they may get enough space for at the bachelor side. There's about 15 bachelors, and then 15 2-bedroom flats in number, like literally counting 1, 2, 3, 4. And then a side where they're called old DQs, they're called old DQs. Those ones are not renovated, and they're quite less nicer. But that is interns if they feel that there's not enough space.
Oh, okay. So okay, so I don't know. Usually the guys like to see, you move the camera around.
Oh my goodness.
No, just to see how it is, the setup, So I don't know. If you mind, we understand. But like in the interviews, like, okay, we just want to see the surrounding, how it is, how's the setup.
Don't prepare me for this one. So I can imagine how bad the bedroom looks, but I can't show you the bedroom. It will be quite embarrassing. but I can go to the. I can show you the what do you call this? The kitchen and the living room.
But I don't understand, how can someone...
Or otherwise, I can send pictures to you and then later on, and then you can share with others.
Yeah, for now,
that's
you can just do the kitchen, then I'll share with others. For now, you can just do the kitchen and the living room, I think that's right. But I feel like people should understand, man, that the bedroom doesn't have to be like, like a garden, right? It's so clean.
We definitely understand.
Thank you. Okay.
As a coolie, I do understand, but I mean, it's just a bedroom. Like now it's 8 o'clock, right? Why should the bedroom be made? It's just if it's a mess, it's a mess. Like you guys, maybe it's because I'm a guy. I don't know.
Exactly. We just want to see the setup.
I need to lady. So how do I rotate my camera?
Even if you don't, I don't know. You can just check.
Oh, even if I don't.
Yeah, I
so
can just,
this is my living room, eh?
Mm-hmm.
As you can see, we've got stuff there.
Yeah, perfect.
Stuff here, stuff there.
No, it's perfect.
So it's quite big. So I had to get my own couch, my own carpet, my own TV. The TV stand was here and it was fine. So I was like, it's okay. So this is my backup plan.
Okay.
Yes. So we currently have 2 fridges. You find a fridge. So this is one that came with my housemate. And then this is our kitchen. So the kitchen does not have a light, and it hasn't been having a light for the past 1 year, 6 months. I've tried to talk to maintenance. They still haven't fixed it. So you can expect to have such issues. But they shouldn't stop you from coming to do internship in THEMBA. So this is the fridge that you find, and then you have a stove, it's built in. You have a sink this side, and then you do get microwaves, and then you have a nice cupboard going on there and a kitchen counter.
Yeah.
And then, so this side, you have got 2 bedrooms there. This is the first one, and that's the next one. The next one has got, it's a slightly bigger, and it's got a bathroom inside. And then this is the second bathroom. As you can see, this is my medical school things. So you don't really fully unpack because they're an intern. So, yeah.
Okay, no. So wait, I'm just interested. Like, do you say this is my bathroom or this is my bathroom? You don't enter here.
Yes, it's quite important, especially as ladies. So I use my own bathroom, which is in my bedroom. It's just an extension of my bedroom, and I allow my housemate to have her own space in her own bathroom. But because we are civil with each other, she allows me to use hers. For example, it has a bathtub. Hers has a bathtub. Mine only has a shower. So if I need to do my laundry, then I do use her bathroom for my laundry. And then that's the only thing that I use in her bathroom. And then obviously she does not have access to mine because I don't imagine that
she wants a shower. I want to shower something.
No, I don't imagine that you would be walking into each other's bedrooms. I think some people prefer it to be a personal space and things like that. So yeah.
Okay. Yes, you guys, you can start asking questions, man. There's a question here. Say, do they allow you to stay with your family at the DQ, or maybe your partner or your children?
In THEMBA, yes. You are allowed to stay with your partner. You are allowed to stay with your kids. We currently have people who are staying with their partners and their children. If you have a bachelor, it's actually quite decent. You can basically bring anyone. They do expect you to have some sort of a formal paper that shows that you are with people in cases of emergencies and if anything happens to anyone, so that everybody's covered. But personally, I haven't gone through that experience. So you just need to let the people who are in charge of residents know that you are staying with someone.
Oh, okay, chops.
Yeah.
So it's White River. Okay, I see White River. It's very far. But in terms of the surrounding, how's the surrounding? Where do I shop? The malls, are they closer?
Okay, so we are surrounded by a residential area. You have a nearby complex, which is less than 5 kilometers away. So initially I could walk there. Otherwise you can catch a local transport to go there. It's quite close. It's a fair distance, and it's on the main road in Kabokweni, so you can actually feel safe when you go there. It's called Kabokweni Plaza. That's the complex. You are next to a police station, next to the clinic, as I mentioned. And then you can drive about 15 to 20 minutes to go to White River. That's the nearest town. They have 2 complexes there. They're quite bigger than the one we have in Kabukweni. It's a decent town. It has got gym. It has got all these other things that you can think of, restaurants and stuff like that, and clubs.
Is it the one where there's McDonald's and what do you call this?
Yes, there's that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's that one, and then there's an older one within White River town.
Oh, yes.
You have the department in the town, a police station, and so it's a big, White River is a big town.
Mm-hmm.
Then you are about 20 to 30 minutes away from Nelspruit town. Nelspruit is huge. It's got malls. It's got a lot of things basically. So yeah.
It's for people in Rock Ferreira, that one, you see.
Not really. Even okay. Some people prefer Nelspruit more than White River. Yeah. You've got gyms, you've got shopping complexes, you've got malls, you've got a big taxi rank there, you've got bus stations. There's also nice places to chill. There's a lot of places that you can actually go to. So if you're a person who likes exploring, I think you will find THEMBA to be quite a nice place. There's a lot of things to do. So you can even go as far as 3 Randa Falls. You can go to Hazy View. You're just an hour away from Hazy View. You can go to Kruger National Park. There's quite a lot of things. There's quite a lot of exploration if you're really into exploring.
True. I think you should mention that even the weather, it's unpredictable.
I like the weather here. It's a bit warmer. Mm-hmm. It is quite unpredictable, but it's slightly warmer than where you currently are. So yeah. I like the weather here. So even when it's cold, it's really not bad. Well, it rains quite a lot as well, but mostly in the evening. So 1 minute you're sleeping, the next thing it's raining. So it's always humid and nice. So I really like the weather here. I'm a fan, honestly.
Raining with hail. You must mention that your cars are not protected. So.
No, cars are protected. We do have garages.
Oh, okay. I mean, if you're on the street, you're on the street, then it starts raining. Yeah. You'll be in trouble. So you need to make sure that you are home by then.
Yes.
Coolies asking here, do you know if there are nice apartment options close to the hospitals, particularly for first year who wants to stay in there with their families?
Yes, so a lot of people here opt for White River. Like I said, it's about 15 to 20 minutes away from the hospital. It's a doable distance really to drive to work and come back. Majority of the ComServes and the MO stay in White River. others in Nelspruit. So I think you will find really nice places to stay. You just need to look in time. If you really, once you've gotten your placement, just find out which one is good for you. And in terms of prices, I do not want to lie to you, but I think they're a little bit pricey, but then there's a range, obviously, so you will decide. Otherwise, if you want to stay in Kaboko and you find the nice place for you to stay, there are people who are I don't know if they stay in back rooms, but there are people who are renting out places around the hospital as well, closer than White River. So around the area where the hospital is. So I think if you decide you want to stay outside the hospital, it will definitely be a doable plan for somebody who would like that.
Oh, perfect. I think we've come to the end of our session, but I cannot leave the session without touching the part of finances. I think it's very important. I mean, we're getting paid rural plus rural. It's 44 points. It's 40 point something there with the rural allowance. So, but just to touch on the financial part, how is it? What knowledge do you have for us?
Yes, finances is quite a very personal topic. One thing that I can tell is that it's actually according to you as a person. First of all, we all have different responsibilities. You will realize that once you start getting paid. So the one mistake that each and every single one of you should not make is to draw your budget based on your friend's budget. So sit down, do your own thing. You know that you have to give back at home, how much you have to give back, and how you have to give back at what pace. So do that by yourself on your own. For example, right now we have got different interns who can afford different types of cars. The fact that somebody can afford a luxurious car does not necessarily mean that I can afford a luxurious car. So you have to look at yourself. What do you have to do? What are your responsibilities? What is expected of you, either from home or by yourself? So please, please, please do not make the mistake of making any decisions. First of all, when you come here, you're gonna
sorry.
So you're going to get a lot of people who are going to approach you with different policies and different things. So please don't make any rash decisions. This also includes the part where you have to sign up with either the companies that are connected through our school. So don't make any rash decisions. Calculate your decisions. And as much as the money might seem when it first comes in, it might not really be that much 6 months later. So consider that as well. When you are making your plans to buy your cars, to buy your houses, you should consider. Can somebody just confirm if they're hearing me? I'm not sure.
We are hearing you. We are hearing you. Don't worry.
Okay. So when you are deciding to buy your houses, when you're deciding to buy your cars, please consider how much you will be left with at the end of the month, how much you have to use for food, and how much you have to use for petrol and things like that. So basically, I'm at everyone to sit down and make their own budget.
Okay.
Guys, there's really no pressure in buying a certain type of a car. You do what's for you. I do understand that some of us feel like we need to buy a car as soon as possible. If you do not have a license, first go get your license, sit down, decide. It's okay to get it at the end of 7 months, especially if you're staying within the hospital premises. So really, really, a financial journey should not be a marathon. Allow it shouldn't be a sprint. Allow it to unfold as it comes. Because it's really painful when we are interns and then we end up becoming broke. and really sad at the end of the day, because the work is a lot. Trust me, you will deserve a little bit of a nice time for yourself. So allow yourself to actually go through that journey in a very, very, very doable pace for yourself. I'm not discouraging anyone from buying a luxurious car. If you can afford it, do go for it. But if you cannot, please do not feel the pressure to do so. For those of you who want to buy assets, you can do so as time goes on. For those of you who want to take policies, take your time, look at it. Do I really need it? Do I have to get it? If you do go for it.
I want to ask on that one, personally to you, because like it's very, very important to find out, policy, income protector, what's the other one? Policy or medical aid. Yeah, isn't policy and life insurance more than like the same thing? Medical aid, hospital planning. Do you have those things?
Yes, I have some of them. Like I said, I didn't take anything when I was still in school because we were encouraged to sign some of the documents before we finished school to say you will take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 policies. So personally, I didn't sign anything until I received my first salary. Then the first thing that was a priority for me was a medical aid. I didn't want a hospital plan. I wanted a medical aid, considering that I'm a lady. I want to have kids, and then I wasn't really sure at what point in internship will I have a child. So I wanted to be covered in terms of such things. Those are just some of the things I was considering. So I really wanted medical aid, and I do not regret that decision so far. For somebody who says I don't get sick at all, a hospital plan will be more doable for you. So you do choose that. It's okay. Income protection. I didn't take any income protection. I think when it comes to income protection, it has to do with whom you have to provide for. So this is something that kicks in cases where you find yourself not being able to work and you still need to provide for someone. But another person might argue to say, you still get your salary even when you're on sick leave, so why would you need an income protection? So you can weigh those options and decide, do I need an income protection? Do I need an income protection? If you do, take one. If you do not, you don't have to rush. You might need it in the next 2 years. You still can take one. In terms of
you're wanted. Tell them we're finishing now. We're finishing now.
So that's fine. What else are we talking of? Is it
policy, life insurance? Yeah.
Life insurance, they're saying this is money that you get in case if you happen to die, and then it will go to your loved ones. So if you do what you're providing for, you can take it. And then others do say that when you need to get a house or other assets, you might need life insurance. So you can get those things if you're considering going along those lines. Like I said, there's really no rush. First month of working, some of you might really want to get your things in order. So you might really want to look into, what do I really want to do? Do I need to buy a house now? Do I really need this life insurance? Am I providing for anyone in a case wherein if I die, they need to receive something for me? Someone might argue, I don't have kids yet. I don't have anyone I'm responsible for, so I don't need it now. But when you do, you will take it. In terms of getting a car, you don't need anything. You just need your payslip. So the one that you need to be careful for in that case is not being taken advantage of. A lot of us get wooed into buying cars that we really didn't want. You go into a dealership, they tell you, you tell them, I want this type of a car. They tell you, we have this type of a car. Please make your decision before you leave your house or you leave your place. Make sure when you get there, you stick to it. Buying a car is not the same as buying a pair of shoes, guys. Wherein if you find it's 50 rands higher, you can still buy them. If you're not sure, go back and redraw. You have all the time that you need. One thing I have learned that the more you wait for some of these things, the more clearer things become. Funeral policies, those are things you really do not need to rush into. So take the time that you need. If you compare yourself at month number 1, whether you need a funeral policy, and compare yourself with month number 6, you might actually make 2 different decisions, and that will also help you in terms of how much money is coming in. Because when you have more deductions, really, it's quite painful because you have less money to spend on yourself and other things. So please have your goals set up straight, make decisions, stick to them, and do things for yourself and according to your own pace. There's really no rush into anything, especially when it comes to money. For those of you into savings, do save as much as you can. The earlier, the better. The more you work, the more responsibilities you have. One thing that I was advised was not to share my salary with my parents or anyone for that matter. No one really needs to know how much you're earning. But if you decide to share, it's okay. Just know that there will be some people who might expect. My phone is usually not. I promise you.
Good. People that might expect you're there.
So yeah, what was I saying?
Like you must not tell your salary, and there are people, once they know your salary, there are people that might, I don't know, you just cut there.
Yes, they might expect certain things from you. So this honestly depends on the type of family you're coming from, the type of people you're interacting with. Do not put yourself under any pressure. People will expect a lot from you because you're a doctor. You don't really have to live up to anyone's standard of living except your own. And then for those of you who have to build at home, who have to give back at home, you can set up a plan. What do I want to do? What time frame do I want to finish what I'm starting or whatever project I'm starting? How much am I going to put into it? How much will I need? And one other thing I can advise is, as much as you can, do avoid loans. But in cases where you cannot, it's okay, but make it something that is going to be affordable and doable for you. Do put into mind that every loan comes with an interest. So yeah, there's things that you cannot avoid. For example, getting a car. I'm sure 99% of us cannot afford to buy a car cash, but put into mind the fact that you have to get a loan for it, how much you have to be paying back monthly. You have car insurance. That's really advisable. You should get car insurance in if you can. And then for those of you who want to put up deposits for your cars, some people are saying you don't need to put up a deposit because it doesn't change the full amount that you're paying and the interest you're paying. But some people might say when you put up a deposit for your car, it might actually help with your monthly installment as much as it doesn't affect the total amount of money you have to pay back to the bank. So sit down, do your researches before you make your decisions. And yeah, in terms of finances, I really wish you guys the best.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Doc. I think we've come to the end of it, and yeah, from my side, I think I am very, very, very informed with the knowledge that you and the wisdom that you're impacting on us. So I don't have anything from now, and I believe the viewers here, I think they're also fine because there's no question here. So yes, Doc, thanks for your time, and thanks to Lorraine for making this possible, because we're looking for a THEMBA doctor. So thanks to her. And yeah, from my side, I say thank you, and we are about to sign out.
Yes, thank you so much, guys, for the opportunity, for the chance to talk to you. Thank you so much, Lorraine, for contacting me. I really wish you guys the best. Please don't put too much pressure on yourselves. this is a journey. Honestly, internship also isn't a marathon, is not a sprint. So just walk at your own pace. Those of you who want to start families, I wish you guys all the best. In terms of your training, in terms of your finances, and your life as a whole. So please, please, please look after yourselves. You're really gonna need to do that as an intern. You will be overworked, but trust me, it's doable, and continue setting up new goals for yourselves and reach greater heights. And I really wish you guys all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doc, and thanks to everyone. And
Thank you so much.
Yes, and have a wonderful night. Bye.
Thank you.